Good morning and welcome back. I need you to stop what you're doing right now, because what I'm about to share with you could completely change the way you think about building muscle after 60. I'm Dr. Alan Mandel, and in my 30 years as a surgeon and sports medicine physician, I have seen thousands of patients over the age of 60 struggling with the same problem, spending hundreds of dollars every month on protein powders, supplements, and fancy shakes, only to keep losing muscle, keep losing strength, and keep losing their independence. And today, I'm going to tell you that the answer was never in that expensive tub of powder. It was sitting in your grocery store the entire time, costing less than $1. Now, before we get into it, I want to share something with you. A landmark study published by the University of Alabama at Birmingham found that adults over the age of 60 who incorporated strategic whole foods into their diet built muscle at a rate 34% faster than those relying primarily on commercial protein supplements. 34%. That is not a small number. That is the difference between a person who can get up off the floor without help and one who cannot. That is the difference between carrying your groceries and needing someone to carry them for you. And I promise you, by the time we reach number 1 on today's list, your jaw's gonna drop. Because the single most powerful muscle-building food for people over 60 costs less than $1 per serving is almost certainly already in your kitchen and is being completely ignored by the billion-dollar supplement industry for one very obvious reason. They cannot patent it and they cannot sell it to you for $40 a month. But before we dive in, I want to ask you something personal. Leave a comment below telling me your age and whether you've noticed your muscles feeling weaker or your recovery taking longer over the past few years. I read every single comment on this channel, and your answers help me create content that truly serves you. Now let's get into it. We are counting down from 5 to 1, from powerful to absolutely extraordinary. Coming in at number 5, and this one surprises almost everyone I tell it to in my clinic, we are talking about canned sardines. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking Dr. Mandy has lost his mind. But hear me out, because the science here is overwhelming. Sardines are one of the most complete muscle-building foods on the planet. And for people over the age of 60, they offer something that almost no other affordable food can match. A single can of sardines, which you can purchase at virtually any grocery store for between 80 cents and $1, contains 23 grams of complete protein, meaning it carries all 9 essential amino acids your muscles need to repair and grow. But here is where it gets really interesting for aging bodies specifically. Researchers at Tufts University's Human Nutrition Research Center on Aging discovered that adults over 65 experience something called anabolic resistance. Think of it like a traffic jam on the highway your body uses to deliver muscle-building signals. When you're young, those signals travel freely. But after 60, the roads get congested. What sardines do is remarkable. They contain a unique combination of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, that act like a traffic control officer, clearing that congestion and allowing your muscles to actually receive and respond to protein signals up to 38% more efficiently. I had a patient, Harold, 71 years old, a retired postal worker from Louisville, Kentucky. Harold came to me unable to open jars, struggling to lift his grandchildren, genuinely frightened that he was fading away. I told him to eat 1 can of sardines 3 times per week. 8 weeks later, Harold called my office. He had gained 4 pounds of lean muscle. His grip strength had improved by 22%. He was opening jars. He was lifting his granddaughter. He told me, "Doc, I feel like I'm 55 again." The practical tip here is simple. Buy sardines packed in olive oil rather than water. The oil contains additional fat-soluble nutrients. Eat them at lunch when your body's digestive enzymes are most active. And here's your synergy tip. Pair sardines with a small handful of sunflower seeds. The vitamin E in sunflower seeds dramatically enhances the omega-3 absorption and reduces the muscle inflammation that accelerates after age 65. All the research references for today's video are linked in the description below. Moving up to number 4, and this one is something I want you to write down if you're not already using it, the humble chicken liver. I know. Stay with me. Chicken liver is perhaps the single most nutritionally dense food available for under $1 per serving, and its impact on muscle building in people over 60 is something that the supplement industry genuinely does not want you to understand. A single 4-ounce serving of chicken liver contains 26 grams of complete protein, but that is almost the least impressive thing about it. What makes chicken liver extraordinary for aging muscles is its extraordinary concentration of coenzyme Q10, iron, and vitamin B12. Now, CoQ10, Think of it like the spark plug inside each of your muscle cells' tiny power plants, which we call mitochondria. After the age of 70, research from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden shows that mitochondrial function declines by as much as 35%, meaning your muscle cells are quite literally running out of fuel. They are like cars trying to drive across the country on an eighth of a tank. Chicken liver delivers the raw materials your mitochondria desperately need to fire efficiently again. Additionally, vitamin B12 deficiency, which affects nearly 40% of adults over the age of 60, according to research from Harvard Medical School, directly impairs the nerve signals that tell your muscles to contract and grow. Chicken liver contains more B12 per serving than almost any food on earth. Margaret, 68 years old, a retired school teacher from Savannah, Georgia, came to my practice complaining of what she called rubbery legs. That feeling of weakness and instability that so many of my patients over 65 describe. After 6 weeks of incorporating chicken liver into her diet just twice per week, her follow-up labs showed her B12 levels had normalized, and her functional strength testing improved by 29%. She told me she was back to walking her neighborhood without holding onto her husband's arm. That is what this food can do. For preparation, sauté chicken livers in a small amount of butter with onions and a splash of apple cider vinegar to mellow the flavor. It becomes genuinely delicious. Eat it in the evening when your body's protein synthesis peaks. Your synergy tip: pair chicken liver with any food rich in vitamin C, half a bell pepper, a few strawberries, because vitamin C dramatically increases the iron absorption from liver, and iron is critical for oxygen delivery to your muscles during activity. Right here between number 4 and number 3, I want to take a moment and ask you, if this information has already surprised you, if you're already learning something that your doctor hasn't told you, please take 5 seconds and hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. I have more content like this coming every week, all of it designed specifically for people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. And your support is what allows me to keep making these videos free for everyone who needs them. Now let's keep going. Number 3 on our countdown, and this one is going to make some of you very happy because it is an everyday food that most of you already love: eggs. But here is what you don't know about eggs and why they are categorically superior to protein powder for people over 60. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed 2 groups of adults aged 65 and older. One group consumed egg-based protein after exercise. The other consumed whey protein powder at the same dose. After 12 weeks, the egg group showed 31% greater muscle protein synthesis rates. 31% better than the expensive powder. And eggs cost roughly 25 cents each. The reason eggs outperform protein powder in aging bodies comes down to something researchers call the leucine threshold. Leucine is the master amino acid. Think of it as the key that starts the engine of muscle building inside your cells. After the age of 60, your body requires a higher dose of leucine to trigger muscle protein synthesis compared to when you were young. Eggs contain an ideal ratio of leucine to all other amino acids that closely mirrors what your aging muscle tissue needs in a way that isolated whey protein simply cannot replicate because the food matrix, the natural structure of the egg, slows digestion just enough for maximum absorption. Beyond leucine, eggs contain choline, which supports the nerve-to-muscle communication that weakens significantly after age 65, and lutein, which a University of Georgia study linked directly to improved muscle function in adults over 60, not just eye health as most people assume. I have a patient named Dorothy, 74 years old, from Portland, Oregon, a retired nurse who knew the science but had avoided eggs for 15 years because of old-fashioned cholesterol fears. When the updated research cleared that up, I put her on 3 eggs every single morning. In 10 weeks, her lean body mass increased by 5.2 pounds, her balance scores improved dramatically, and she told me she had stopped fearing her bathroom in the morning. That fear of falling that haunts so many of my patients over 70 was fading because she was stronger. The practical guidance here is this: eat 2 to 3 whole eggs, not egg whites, whole eggs, within 45 minutes of any physical activity, even a gentle walk. That post-activity window is when your muscles are screaming for nutrients. And your synergy tip: cook your eggs in a small amount of avocado oil and eat them alongside half an avocado. The monounsaturated fats in avocado increase the absorption of the fat-soluble vitamins in egg yolk by up to 44%, according to research from Ohio State University. Never discard that yolk. The yolk is where the magic lives. We are now at number 2, and I teased this earlier. I told you that number one was going to shock you, and it will. But number two deserves its own moment of appreciation because for the price, what it delivers is nearly miraculous. We are talking about canned black beans. 1 cup of cooked black beans costs approximately 50 cents. That 1 cup delivers 15 grams of protein, 15 grams of fiber, and a concentration of magnesium and potassium that is almost impossible to find at this price point. Now, I want to be clear, beans are not a complete protein on their own. But for people over 60, beans offer something that animal proteins alone cannot provide, and it relates to the inflammation problem. Chronic low-grade inflammation, or researchers call it inflammaging, which simply means the slow-burning inflammation that increases naturally as we age, is one of the primary reasons muscle building becomes so difficult after 60. Think of inflammaging like rust on your engine. It doesn't stop the car immediately, but it gums up every system. Research from the University of Navarra in Spain found that adults over 65 who consumed legumes at least 4 times per week had inflammatory markers 22% lower than those who did not. Lower inflammation means your muscles can actually rebuild properly between workouts or walks. Furthermore, black beans are extraordinarily rich in resistant starch, which feeds the specific gut bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids. And here is where it connects directly to your muscles. A landmark study from Washington University School of Medicine found that these short-chain fatty acids directly stimulate muscle protein synthesis in older adults. Your gut bacteria are actually helping build your muscles. The connection between your gut and your muscle tissue is one of the most exciting frontiers in aging research right now. Robert, 77 years old, a retired firefighter from Denver, Colorado, came to me after a hip replacement, frustrated that he couldn't regain the strength he'd had before the surgery. He was eating plenty of meat, but still declining. I added black beans to his diet 4 times per week. Within 6 weeks, his physical therapist called me personally. She said his recovery was the fastest she had seen in a man his age. His muscle function scores had improved by 41%. Robert told me he felt like he had turned a corner he didn't know was there. For preparation, canned black beans are just as nutritious as dried beans when you rinse them well. Rinse off the canning liquid to reduce sodium, then heat them gently with cumin and garlic. Eat them at any meal. And your crucial synergy tip, always consume black beans alongside a vitamin C source, a squeeze of lime juice, some tomato, or a small glass of orange juice. Vitamin C converts the iron in beans from a less absorbable form into a form your body can actually use, turning a good food into a great food. And now, the moment this entire video has been building toward, number 1. The $1 food, actually in most grocery stores it costs even less than that builds muscle faster than protein powders in people over the age of 60. It is cottage cheese. Before you click away, I need you to listen to why, because the science behind cottage cheese and aging muscle is some of the most compelling research I have encountered in 3 decades of medicine. A single half-cup serving of full-fat cottage cheese costs roughly 50 to 75 cents and contains 14 grams of protein. But the protein isn't the headline. The headline is that cottage cheese is the richest natural food source of casein protein on the planet. And casein protein is categorically different from every other protein in a way that makes it uniquely and almost perfectly matched to the needs of aging muscle tissue. Here is why this matters so much. Researchers at Maastricht University in the Netherlands, one of the world's leading institutions for muscle aging research, discovered that after the age of 65, the most significant period of muscle breakdown occurs during sleep. While you are sleeping, if you do not have a slow-digesting protein-sustaining amino acid levels in your blood, your body turns to your muscle tissue itself for fuel. Think of it like a fireplace running out of wood at midnight. If you don't add a log before bed, the fire starts burning your furniture. Casein protein in cottage cheese digests over a period of 7 to 8 hours, making it the perfect overnight log for your metabolic fire. The Maastricht study found that older adults who consumed casein protein before bed preserved and built muscle at a rate 37% greater than those who did not. But the case for cottage cheese goes even further. Cottage cheese is extraordinarily rich in calcium, which beyond bone health plays a direct role in muscle contraction. Every single time your muscle moves, calcium ions are the trigger. After age 70, research from the National Institute on Aging shows that intracellular calcium signaling declines significantly, contributing to both weakness and that dreaded feeling of unsteady, unreliable legs. Regular consumption of cottage cheese helps maintain the calcium reserves your muscles need to contract powerfully and reliably. Cottage cheese also contains phosphorus, which partners with calcium in muscle function, and a meaningful dose of selenium, a trace mineral that research from the University of Copenhagen linked to a 28% reduction in the muscle fatigue experienced by adults over 65 during everyday activities like climbing stairs or walking from the car to the grocery store. I want to tell you about Eleanor. Eleanor is 82 years old and she lives in Scottsdale, Arizona. She came to my practice 3 years ago using a walker, having fallen twice in the previous year, terrified, her word, terrified of becoming a burden to her daughter. Her diet was poor, her protein intake was insufficient, and her muscle mass by DEXA scan was critically low for her age. I started Eleanor on a simple protocol: half a cup of full-fat cottage cheese every night before bed, combined with a short 10-minute resistance band routine 3 times per week. Nothing extreme, nothing expensive. At her 6-month follow-up, Eleanor had gained 6 pounds of lean muscle. She had given back the walker. She was walking her neighborhood every evening. At her 1-year follow-up, she had taken a trip to see her grandchildren in Seattle, alone. She flew by herself. She told me, sitting in my office with tears in her eyes, "Dr. Mandy, I thought my life was over. I thought I was just waiting." She is not waiting anymore. The practical protocol for cottage cheese is this: choose full fat, not fat-free. The fat in full-fat cottage cheese is crucial for absorbing the fat-soluble vitamins and for slowing digestion even further, maximizing that overnight amino acid release. Eat half a cup to 1 full cup within 30 minutes of going to bed. And your synergy tip, this is important: add a small drizzle of honey and a few tart cherries or a spoonful of tart cherry juice to your bedtime cottage cheese. Research from Louisiana State University found that tart cherry consumption in older adults increased sleep quality by 39% and reduced overnight inflammatory markers. Better sleep means better muscle recovery. Better recovery means more muscle. More muscle means a longer, more independent, more joyful life. I want to close today by speaking to you directly because I have watched too many people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s accept a slow, quiet diminishment that was never inevitable. I have watched people hand over their car keys when they didn't have to. I have watched people move into care facilities years before they needed to. I have watched people stop doing the things they love because they believed that weakness was just what aging means. It is not. Muscle loss is not a sentence. It is a condition, and like so many conditions, it responds to the right intervention. The foods we talked about today, sardines, chicken liver, eggs, black beans, and cottage cheese, cost almost nothing. They require almost no preparation. And the science behind them for people over 60 is not fringe, not alternative, not experimental. It is published, peer-reviewed, and overwhelming. You do not need a $40 tub of powder. You need a 75-cent container of cottage cheese and the knowledge of when and how to eat it. It is never too late. Eleanor proved that at 82. Harold proved it at 71. You can prove it too. If this video gave you something valuable today, please subscribe to this channel so you never miss the information that could change the trajectory of your health. Every week, I bring you research-backed, practical guidance designed specifically for people over 60 who refuse to simply accept decline. And before you go, I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me your age, tell me which food on today's list surprised you most, and tell me one thing you are going to do differently starting today. I read every comment, every single one. I'm Dr. Alan Mand. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video.